Hey, how you doing? My name is Vinny. I'm a voiceover artist, and last year, me and my father-in-law built me a booth, a custom home studio that's fully treated. In the first video I made, I went through how we actually constructed the framing and the outside, and actually made a soundproof room that has 6-inch walls. Now in this video, I'm going to go through how we actually treated the inside of the wall. You could have a soundproof room, so sound isn't coming in from the outside. Doesn't do you very good if you're in the inside and it's just hard surfaces. So this video goes through how we treated it with recycled denim, as well as how we created that door that you see. Hope this is helpful. If this is, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and you'll be able to see more videos that I put out. Thanks. All right, the next thing is to figure out in this booth, how do we treat the inside? And I'll tell you this, I was worried. This thing was so boomy. I'm a baritone voice, so I got a little bit of resonance anyway, but I'm like, oh man, this thing is so boomy in here. So going back and forth on how we were going to hang the treatment, because I knew I wanted to use reclaimed denim. And we figured out, hey, why don't we just basically frame out the inside of the booth and then put the denim, the panels in there, and then just cover it. And then we don't have to worry about actually making panels and hanging them. So that's what we did. We used 1x4s and just created these shelving units to put them in. You could see how we're framing that out. Went down to the local Home Depot, and little guy thinks he's the coolest. He jumped on there and he's going to ride all the way out. And so that's what we did. Once again, I think for the walls, I think they just sat in there and they were fine. For the ceiling, we had to apply spray adhesive as well. Now, what we did with these is, if you could see on top, it's black. So we put the denim insulation on the wall and on the ceiling, and then we covered it with black ground cover covering. Like you would buy it, we bought it at Home Depot, and the stuff that you put in your garden for weeds, like a weed barrier. It works perfectly. It's breathable, and so sound will pass through it. So that and a staple gun worked. So you could even see it in this video where we were putting it in the ceiling. We first attached that black ground cover weed barrier, and then once it was up there, we were able to pull it back really tight and staple it in. And for all intents and purposes, that's what's holding it in, even though we have more material in there. More material in there. Speak of the devil of more material in there, looking up what kind of materials in a cost-effective way would work. Muslin seemed to work well. So I forgot how many yards of it I needed. We pulled it out, and my father-in-law, as well as being a carpenter, he's a seamstress. So he actually had the great idea of let's sew it all together basically in a box, and then we could just install the material. So that's what he did. And it's all form fitting on the inside there. You could see right now on the left video, he then cut the hole for the ventilation. So he's vacuuming all the debris out. On the right side, you could see where he cut for the XLR opening. And so that's just cleaning up, but everything is nice and tight on the inside. You see some of the staples up top, and that's basically it. We then started getting on the inside and putting the flooring down. So I definitely wanted to be spongy as possible, not only for my feet if I'm standing, but also any kind of extra absorption. So I got the thickest carpeting padding I could get, as well as we had some extra carpet from when we moved into our house a few years ago. So that was put down and the flooring was done. And if you notice in the corner there's a little wedge. Now, here's the thing. Once all this stuff was put in, I realized it is still really boomy. There was no desk or anything, but I was really worried that it was going to be boomy. The insulation was 3.5 inches thick. They recommend 4, but you'd think 3 on all the walls and the ceiling would be fine. And so I'm like, hey, we had a little insulation left over. What we did is we took some masonite and made wedges, and then covered it with some of the extra material. And so we have those wedges in all 4 of the corners. You can see how my desk, we measured it out. It fits perfectly, 40 inches to spare left to right. And that is the inside of the booth. So that is the construction of the booth, from the framing it, the walls, the materials. We still had some other stuff to go, and I just, for sake of brevity, I'll put that in another video, but that is how we made our booth I hope some of this information helps you in making your booth. I don't think there's definitely right ways and wrong ways, but everyone's going to do their own way with the resources you have available to you and who you have to help you. I'm very blessed to have someone who is an absolute genius at this stuff and very creative. But I encourage you, go make your booth. If you've been sitting on the fence, use the information we came up with. Watch other videos because there's a lot of great stuff out there, and let me know how'd your booth come out. What are things that you'd want to do differently, or what did you nail? What did you come up with that was creative? In my other video, I actually showed what we did in terms of creating the framing and the outside and the booth itself, including how we applied sound treatment. This video, we're going to talk about the door. Now, the moment we started talking about building this booth, the door was going to be an issue because what do you use to make sure that if you're using double sheetrock on the inside and outside, what do you do in order to have a door to actually block sound out? And we have it a limited size. I want to say we had 27 inches wide by 76 inches tall in terms of the door opening, not a conventional size. So we explored a lot of options, and eventually he said, we're making a door. So I'm going to show you the idea that he came up with. The first thing is, how do you close a door? We knew when we wanted it to be thick. The wall is 6 inches thick. And so we wanted to say, what can we do to not have like a gap of 1 inch on each side to make sure there's clearance for the door to open? So he's like, what if we put the side that receives the door handle, what if we put it at an angle, and then we wouldn't have to have as big of a gap along the hinge side? So his idea was put an 11-degree angle on it, and not only on the door, but also on the frame itself. So that was his idea. That's what he did. So we started building it out. He decided to use basically 2x4s as the frame. There would be 1/2-inch plywood on the inside and outside. And then we had leftover sheetrock. So we used 3 pieces of 5/8 sheetrock on the insides. This door, let's just say after loading it up, had to visit the chiropractor afterwards. This guy was heavy. This is what it looks like when he started building it more. You could see the 2x4 frame. You could see the sheetrock going in. We also included an area for a window to make sure we could see out, and I'll show that in a second. That I just found a local glass shop in town and asked him what he thought would be best. I forget the type of glass, but there's a piece of plastic in the middle, similar that would be on a car windshield. And so it's a 3/8 piece of glass with that in the middle, which I figured, hey, that's just going to help reduce sound, breaking through anyway. So there's 3 pieces total, 1 on each side, and then a piece moving in the diagonal to maybe deflect some air that way. So I want to say it's probably like 8x10 or something like that. But that is the outside of the door. And this thing was heavy. It took a while to figure out how it worked and how it was going to work. When we installed it, there was definitely gaps. And so we wanted to make sure to fill in the gaps. So we had to use some just standard window and door sealer, the foam that comes in. And so we just sprayed as much of that in as we could fit. You could also tell for a handle, because we did not want to put a knob or anything like that. So honestly, there's no lock or latch in there that we needed. The springs that we used were your standard garage door hinges, not springs. The hinges were your just standard garage door hinges that had the spring in there. We got those at your box store, Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. And so you could adjust the tension on the springs, and so it just shuts it automatically. So I don't have a problem with the door opening up or anything like that. So I just looked on Amazon and I picked up like those are sliding glass door handles. They don't have any room for a latch or anything, and so those work perfect. We could just drill them directly into the plywood to create that. This is the final of what the booth looks like. On the outside, I just painted it with some leftover paint. It's more of a gray and a dark gray. It looks kind of white from here. But that ended up being the booth. It works fantastic. The door works great. You could even see, I should talk about that, how we treated the inside of the door. That was a deal. Didn't know how to treat the inside as best we can as you look around my booth and what we have going on there. What we ended up doing was just getting a bed topper made out of that really dense foam, and it's purple. Not my favorite color, but whatever. I got it for like under $100. It also has different textures, which I like because that's only going to help with sound. I had an extra piece, so I was able to put it right behind me. And so I just cut it to the size of the door, first applied it with spray adhesive. I did notice it started falling a little bit. No issues with melting. That was one thing I was concerned about. So spray adhesive to hold it. And then I actually just stuck some nails in there at an angle, and that keeps it, secure where it needs to be. So that is the production of my booth, both, when we built the frame, the sound treatment, we covered those in the other video. And this is how we actually created the door. I might be leaving out some information, but like I said in my previous video, I'm not giving you sizes and what we use because I don't think this is necessarily the perfect size or whatever. I dealt with what I had to work with and the size limitations we had to work with. If we were going to build a booth 7 feet, and we know that each wall was going to take 6 inches of space between the two pieces of 5/8 sheetrock and what we had for a gap on the inside. How much room do we have left over for a door? And so it's just a matter of really contextualizing to my space and saying, what do we have to work with? And I would encourage you for yourself as well. When you build something, figure out what you have. I'll make another video that will have what I wish we did or didn't do. There's some things that, I would have done this different. Some things I don't have an option. Like I have an 8-foot ceiling. I wish we could go higher, but I got an 8-foot ceiling. So you're limited. Some things you're just limited. Some things I would do over again, but not a lot. I think we did a great job. I literally could be in this booth, and even though it gets warm in there, I'll tell you this, a lot of days I'll keep the door cracked open, even on an audiobook. And I live in a fairly quiet neighborhood, but I'm not hearing sound from anything. I've even had times where I realized afterwards that the neighbor's gardener from next door is leaf blowing, and even without the door closed the whole way, just cracked a little bit, it's working great. So I couldn't be happier with the booth. You're always learning on how you can improve, but it's working great for me. My question to you is, have you built a booth? What did you do for a door? Because this was the thing that plagued us for a while. Love to hear your comments below. Comment there. Maybe share a link to your own booth if you did a booth build video. But hopefully this helps someone as you are on the journey to build a booth for your voiceover booth or ISO booth or whatever. And eventually you could get your own little padded room and go in there when you need a safe space. Anyway, I would encourage you now, if you like this video, please like it. Leave some comments as well and subscribe to the channel as I have more content that comes out. And we'll see you guys on the next video.